I call to order this third meeting of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Welcome, everybody. I'm your supreme leader, Dave Nelson. Joining me is our Emperor, Matt Stein. Also here is our Chancellor, Brad Ludwig, and the club's Viceroy, Anessa Moyens. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Birthday boy / supreme leader.
I am extra special. I'm the supreme leader, and it's my birthday. So.
And you wouldn't let me bring cake.
No cake.
Disappointed.
No cupcakes. No any kind of confectionery at all to this show.
I should have got a cupcake just out of spite.
There's nothing I can do about it, Nessa. Not a damn thing.
I ate cookies the last show, so there you go. Out of spite.
All right, before we get any further, let's introduce our guest, Geek. And I don't know if you saw my introduction, Glenn. I hope I got all this right.
Yeah.
Because it came off your Wikipedia. I think you're the first guest with an actual Wikipedia. He's a former columnist for the San Francisco Examiner, Sports Illustrated for Kids, and many other national publications. He was one of the original contributing editors for Wired magazine. From 1993 to 95, he co-hosted the nationally syndicated On Computers radio show with Leo Laporte. He's credited as both a writer and director on many of the episodes of the web-based video series Lonely Girl 15. He's also the former host of Shut Up and Play on the Twit Network. He's currently the director of marketing at twit.tv, where he's coming from. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Glenn Rubenstein.
Woohoo! Hey. Thanks for having me.
Welcome aboard, my friend. And we used to work together on Spreecast.com. We did, or Spreecast.net?
.com.
Okay. Did some shows over there, so that's how we know each other, and just worked out pretty well that we know each other, so I was able to invite you on our show. So it's pretty cool.
No, glad I could make it.
All right, so this is basically a show where we talk about the week's science fiction news. And before we get into what's new, let's read the minutes from last week. Brad, what did we talk about last week?
Well, last week we talked about the John Scalzi Red Shirts book that may be turned into a TV miniseries. We talked about how Warner Brothers is making an animated film based on the Arkham-based video games, but without Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman. Katie Sackhoff is in talks with Marvel Studios for an unspecified role in the movie universe. And we talked about how much science is enough science for science fiction.
So, good topics last week.
Oh, last but not least, Amazon has the rights for Barbarella and is working on a pilot episode.
Yeah, and we still don't know in what form that will take.
No, we do not.
It could be a comedy. It could be a straight-up reimagining of the Barbarella series. Who knows?
Perhaps it could be an erotic sci-fi thriller, like Skinamax style.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, somebody needs to take. Does Cinemax still do the After Dark kind of?
Holy crap, do they? They have some real gems. I'm sorry, I got really excited to talk about cable porn.
Skinamax.
Holy crap, you guys have no idea! They have upped the budget.
It's weird that there's still a need in today's society for that. You know, I mean, you'd think with the internet and everything else, that Cinemax is still is still. We have a dedicated core niche, and we need to do everything we can to cater. That's what we're known for. Sure, the other pay channels have gotten into, they've made their game a little more artistic. Showtime is doing their original series. HBO's doing, even Starz is doing prestige series, but not Cinemax. Cinemax just says we know what our bread and butter is, and that's TNA.
Kicking it old school, and
Boom.
You know what? Maybe it's for people that like cheese in their hard R movies and what shows.
I don't want cheese in my hard R.
I think we got a title. And then there's the whole, online blatant porn. So, maybe it attracts people that aren't into that, either of those,
So you're saying that Cinemax makes high-quality erotica.
Go, Skinamax, go!
I was flipping through, this must have been like 5 years ago, I was flipping through the channels late at night and came upon Cinemax and saw something that was on there, and I swear to God, the production values made a Sci-Fi Channel original movie look like freaking Titanic. I mean, it was so low rent and low budget. I wouldn't even say it looked a step above porn. I actually think most pornography these days, what Vivid Studios is doing, has much better production values than what I saw on Cinemax 5 years ago. So I can't even imagine where it's at now. I think The Asylum, the people that make Mockbusters, do prestige films compared to the production values of your average Cinemax production based on the last time I saw one.
What the hell just happened here?
This is Glenn Rubenstein, my friend.
So instead of Sharknado, they'd make what, Pornado on Cinemax?
They're not as overt. I mean, it'd be more like Cinado, or like a Storm of Temptation. It would have something that sounds like it tells you that it's a little porny, but it's also they're not about as overt as the average romance novel your aunt would have read in 1984.
So no Lube-nado?
Yeah, no, I'm sure though. The porn titles.
That's an interesting genre that we should maybe look into a little bit. Is the porn or hard R science fiction films or TV series? That's got to be a pretty interesting genre.
Wow.
Lost Glenn too.
Well, I don't blame him. He's like, oh, okay.
It's like, I guess I'm out.
That Brad guy came up with Lube-nado. I'm out.
All right, let's move on. So that's the minutes from last week. Any old business? Anything you guys want to add? Well, I guess we did add to that one story, so that's good enough.
Barbarella.
Kind of.
And last week we were also excited. Last week we were also excited about the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, which came out this week. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So
yes, we are.
All right, new business time. This is the stories that made the news in science fiction this week, and I am up first. James Cameron gives an update on the Avatar sequels. Not one, not two, but 3 Avatar movies are being made. They're being released December 2016, December 2017, and December 2018. And he recently spoke to... I'm not sure who originally interviewed him, but this was published on Collider.com. And he basically said that they're developing the software while he works on the scripts and designs designs all the new creatures and environments. He added that he hasn't decided whether he'll shoot all or just some of the film in high frame rate. Cameron was quoted as saying, "We're designing all the creatures and characters and the settings and so on. So I'm not actually directing yet, but I'm doing all the other creative processes lead up to that." He says, "You'll see new worlds, new habitats, new cultures. The primary conflict between the human view kind of dominating nature and the Na'vi view of being integrated into nature is the same, but it manifests in various other ways." So far, Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, and Stephen Lang also all on board for returning to the Avatar sequels. Welcome back, Glenn.
Thank you. Twit Wi-Fi.
So we were talking about the Avatar sequels, not 1, not 2, but 3 of them for 2016, 2017, and 2018. Are you excited about that?
Still haven't seen the first one. I don't know why. Something about it just did not appeal to me.
How can you say that you've never seen the first one since it grossed higher than any other movie in all of mankind, in the history of man?
Well, if I recall, Dave, you like to be a contrarian sometimes and just purposefully not see something because it's immensely popular.
Yes.
So I'm sure you can relate to the fact. I mean, for Christ's sakes, watch a Pixar movie. Watch 2, watch all of them. It just didn't appeal to me. Something about it, and I like James Cameron a lot. The Abyss is one of my favorite movies of all time, even with all its quirks and shortcomings. But I don't know, something about it just really did not look that appealing to me.
All right, you can have your taste in movie. You don't have to like and watch everything, I guess. So is anybody on this panel excited about the sequels to Avatar?
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy cow, that was definitive. No beating around the bush there. Brad, I didn't hear you.
I said, yeah, I want to see them, but not overly
excited.
Yeah.
Come on. The Na'vi sex scene was hot.
I don't even remember the Na'vi sex scene. Like,
okay. This is like the second or third time that you need to go to Canada.
It's time for you to visit Canada again, Dave.
I'm just saying, or get Cinemax, whatever. But
sign up for Skinemax.
Whatever's easier, I guess. All right, so Avatar. Nobody. No, none of you guys are interested. Besides Brad, who's kind of interested.
Kinda, yeah.
If it's on Netflix, I might watch it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to catch it. Because, I mean, I didn't see Avatar till years later. And it was only because my friend James was like, you're sitting down and you're watching this.
How is this the highest grossing film if none of you have really watched it? How's that possible?
Because people like you have seen it 4 times in the theater.
I only saw it once in the theater.
Well, but it was new, right? I mean, Avatar was the first big, the big release in this wave of 3D, right? It was the big 3D resurrection, and I think that people went to it for that experience because at the time, remember before Avatar and before the current 3D that we've been using, it was the red and blue glasses. Or it was, the really bad polarized, alternating like cardboard crap glasses you get, for free at 7-Eleven, and or in the back of a TV guide. And I think that with Avatar, it was the experience and the novelty of it, because I remember at the time, not people going, "Oh my God, it's the most amazing movie." It was, "Oh my God, this is an experience you can only have in theaters. You have to go to the movies and experience this."
Well, I think the difference is, and with the wave and the vast majority of the 3D films that have come out, the 3D was an afterthought. With Avatar, it was 3D was a part of the experience. It was thought out. It was shot in that particular manner. Iron Man 3 was not. It was fun to watch. It was a good film, but the 3D was not necessary by any means. Whereas with Avatar, it was really a part of the cinematography. So,
I was gonna say, and I've bought into that hype before. Where it's, "Oh my God, you have to see it in 3D." I mean, we saw that recently with Gravity. Where everyone's like, "You have to see it in IMAX 3D. You have to go. It's the experience, man." I bought into that hype with that goddamn Metallica concert film that came out because
Whoa!
Well, because there were all these articles. There were all these articles that were like, "You have to see it in 3D on the biggest screen possible." And I think that it's crap a lot of the time, right? I mean, it's complete hype. It's complete fluff. Yes, there's some cool effects, and there's some moments you go, "Wow." But is it really any more impressive than riding like the new Star Tours at Disneyland when you get down to it? I mean, it's an experience, but I feel like a lot of these movies that it's, "Oh my God, you have to go have this experience at the theater." That's why you don't watch them on home video. It's why you don't watch it on cable, because once you take away the experience, what's left?
Yeah, I think 3D is dead. I think the way that Cameron's going to really bring people in is if he can master the high frame rate, because Peter Jackson, not so much. It's all right, but James Cameron is famous for taking technology and bringing it to the next level. He is the Steve Jobs of filmmakers, in my opinion.
Including having like a child that he didn't officially recognize for years, and hard to work with, and taking credit for other people's ideas, or are we just talking in the general visionary sense?
Yeah, James Cameron's a prick. Absolutely, flat out. He's an asshole. But he can make good films.
All right. On that note, let's move on to story number 2. Matt, our video game expert on the panel, what do you got? Something video
Yeah, no, I found it's the top 10 anticipated sci-fi video games of 2014. I want to use the term sci-fi video games very loosely, as I know you guys have seen this list. But number 10 is the second installment of Infamous, which I played the first one and didn't care a whole lot for it, so this one just kind of to the wayside for me at least. But it comes out March 21st. Then number 9 is Deep Down. I have no idea.
Matt, wait a second. Can you break down a brief description of each of these video games?
That's going to be extensive on-the-fly internet research because some of these I really only pay attention to the decent ones, and like the Elder Scrolls is on here, and that's and Brad, you may know a thing or two about some of these, or even Glenn. I don't know if Glenn's a gamer.
No, Infamous. Yeah. I mean, I used to be more of a hardcore gamer. I just don't as much anymore. But with Infamous, the concept of Infamous is that it's about a regular guy who gets powers. And what's cool about the game is you could choose to become a good guy or a bad guy. Your notoriety essentially goes in one direction or the other depending on how you behave. So it's got kind of an interesting hook. I don't know. I think that the idea of the story is better than the execution, but I know a lot of people really, really like that series.
Well, the first one was like one of the first games in which you could choose your direction.
Yeah. From
what I remember. So that was kind of the big thing at the time, but now it's like I believe you play the nephew or the son of the original protagonist, and it's kind of like, to me it's like there's really the open world concept is played out, and the choose good or choose bad is not really new, so I don't really care about it anymore. But
yeah, no, I remember I played a little bit of the first one, I played a little bit of the second one, and with the third one, I don't think I'd make it past 2 or 3 hours. It just wasn't dynamic enough for me to really get involved.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Let's see, moving on. Number 9 is Deep Down. There's not a whole lot about it, other than it is a player perspective game that takes place in New York City in the year 2094. By touching magical artifacts, players are teleported into the distant past to explore dungeons and avoid or battle monsters and seek treasure. That is.
So it takes place in the future, and there's time travel involved, so that's definitely science fiction.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Wait, is it a dystopian future, perhaps?
It really doesn't say. That was literally the entire plot from Wikipedia.
Glenn, what future is not dystopian, by the way?
I know. It's never been done before.
No.
Star Trek isn't dystopian.
That's true. That's very true.
Yes, but everything else, seriously, Star Trek is the one goddamn franchise where the future actually is the place you'd want to live, and the rest is all, we have flying cars, but people are enslaved from birth. If you're not like of the right class, there's always some twist that makes the future suck. So it'd be nice to see more positive portrayals of the future.
You got to make it interesting somehow, Glenn.
I guess.
I'm sure there are other ways of making it interesting, though.
That's what she said.
Oh, and moving on.
Had to get one in.
That's what he said.
It's getting boring in the bedroom, so let's try something different and interesting, right? Is that what you're talking about?
A dystopian sex life, if you will.
Is this on?
Wow, are we having an adult-themed episode this night?
Remind me not to drink beer on the podcast again.
See, you're not as well trained at it as I am.
No,
that's right.
Yeah.
Win Matt Stein's liver should be our game.
Get out of here.
That should be around. Just love robots. Yes or no?
Robots are awesome.
Yay, robots!
Sphincter says what?
Yeah.
Nobody? Okay.
What is next on the list?
Next on our list is The Elder Scrolls Online. I would consider this to be more of a role-playing game than sci-fi, but I also spent minimal time playing any of the Elder Scrolls game. Dave, you may not know, the Elder Scrolls 5 is Skyrim.
Oh, yeah, I knew
for the game Skyrim.
I knew that.
Yeah, that's the last installment of the Elder Scrolls saga, I guess.
Yeah, it's not science fiction, it's fantasy.
No, yeah, exactly. And it just consumed like hours of people's lives. But apparently this online game is supposed to span Elder Scrolls 3, 4, and 5, the landscape and characters and stuff like that. I don't know. Like I said, not sci-fi, not something I'm interested in, but will consume the lives of a number of people. It might even end a few relationships. Next on the list, though, this is one I'm actually really excited about, and a trailer just came out like 2 days ago. It's called The Order 1886. I believe it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive, but it takes place in a alternate past London And the trailer doesn't show you a whole lot other than these guys have like old schoolish looking rifles, but they shoot like laser bolts and stuff. And you're fighting these half-breed monsters that are half animal, half man. And it takes place around the 7th or 8th century, where there's a small group of people have taken on like beast-like traits, and then there's the people who the uprising essentially. I'm sure if I spent time and like scoured the corners of the internet, I could find out everything there is to know. But it looks really interesting to me, and I don't want to spoil it by getting really balls deep into what is going to happen, because then I think I'll just overhype it for myself. But when this one comes out, which is supposed to be the third quarter of 2014, I fully intend on doing some sort of story for the show on it. But yeah, I got a little nerd chubby there for that one.
Yeah, we want you on the ground, man. We want you on the ground, getting into the story and reporting back the nitty-gritty details of this game.
And when it gets closer, I'd like to update it. So I was happy to see it make the list, as well as a few other that I've some sort of interest in. But next on the list, number 6, is a game called Dying Light. It is a zombie apocalypse themed game, which is also starting to get a little overplayed.
Something new. That's a new genre, right? I mean,
I'm glad somebody finally put zombies in a video game.
Yeah,
it's about time.
Yes.
It was lacking zombies. That was the one thing they were lacking, was zombies.
Yeah, it seems to have some sort of similarities to the Left 4 Dead series with some of the characters, but when I first heard about this game, I didn't really know it pertained exclusively to zombies as the enemies, and then when I found that out, I kind of lost my interest in it. That one doesn't even have the release date is unknown, so I'm sure there's a whole lot of development and change that'll happen in that one. But moving on, the next game is the new Tom Clancy game called The Division, which, trying to quickly pull up the Wikipedia page here. I don't know if there's a whole lot about it, but when you might...
Doesn't it take place in the near future? Like, not too much in the future, where there's cool weapons, but not crazy weapons?
Society has become fragile and complex. And in the game...
As opposed to the stable, simple world we live in now.
Yes. Here's my favorite part. The game revolves around a disease that spreads on Black Friday in the U.S. and causes a collapse in 5 days.
Oh, perfect. If you're going to spread something, Black Friday is the perfect day for that.
And that's kind of what I like about it, because that's like the perfect time to do something. Everyone's out and about. There's high interaction rates. You spread some sort of disease, you give it to 1, 2, 3 people, that thing's going to spread pretty quick, assuming they go out shopping.
And the NSA is now tapping this.
I know, I was like, hello, NSA. Welcome to our podcast.
Not the first time, not the last time.
More listeners, I don't care.
I
know. We have the government listening to our podcast. Essentially, you play in a group called the Strategic Homeland Division, or the Division for short, that was formed to combat the threat and save what remains in a massive multiplayer online situation.
All right.
So that's supposed to be the cool aspect, is I think you are forced... I use forced loosely, but you're forced to play with your friends and other people online to...
Forced to play with your friends.
Yeah.
I don't even like these people.
Forces social interaction, I guess, which, I mean, who really wants to do that? Next on the list is a game called Thief, which apparently the Thief, there's been a bunch of them, older ones, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of a older franchise.
Yes, it looks like the first one came out in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah,
I believe. Thief: The Dark Project came out in 98. Thief 2 came out in 2000, and then the third one was in 2004, and now this one, 2014. It's a reboot of the original game. Dave loves reboots, but it's more it falls into the fantasy, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But you just kind of play as a thief in a Victorian and steampunk aesthetic type world.
Glenn, do you have experience with this game? Did you ever play that?
I vaguely remember it. I don't think it was a huge hit, though. I mean, but I remember it existing. Is steampunk sci-fi? Have we ruled on that? Is that? It seems no, but the roots of steampunk are in Jules Verne, though, right? It's the Jules Verne concept of futurism.
Oh yeah, it qualifies.
Yep. Yeah, I need to get my gavel out and judge on this. Yes, it is sci-fi.
Well, Dave likes lasers, and I don't know if steampunk would really have a whole lot of lasers in it.
Well, I'm not ruling it out as not sci-fi. For now, we'll put it in the sci-fi category.
Fine. Anyways, moving on. This is a game that if none of you have heard of, I will be incredibly surprised. It is currently in beta. It is called Titanfall.
Ah.
I was going to say, if none of you were like, oh yeah, I've heard a whole lot about that recently, I would have been upset. But
the name sounds like something that we should know, but obviously it's not.
It is a first-person shooter published by EA, which is kind of the touch of death in video games. It's an online multiplayer-only match setup in a war-torn planet, and you fight in a mech-style Titan, they call them.
Oh, cool. I love mechs.
I believe it's probably going to be pretty similar to like MechWarrior. I'm sure there's differences. I haven't gotten in the beta, and I once again really care about this game. But apparently, Microsoft uses cloud computing services offboard non-player activity to the servers, which is something new. But a little funny joke for you guys. I use this thing in Chrome called Butt to Cloud. Or excuse me, Cloud to Butt.
That's not the funny part. Sorry.
It takes all instances of the words the cloud or cloud and changes it to my butt or butt. So Wikipedia says the game uses Microsoft's butt computing services. It gets me every time. So if you're in for a good chuckle, and if you read a lot of like sysadmin stuff on the internet, Cloud to Butt is a gem because you'll forget you have it and then it'll pop up. But I digress. Titanfall apparently comes out in like 2.5 weeks, March 11th or something. People are talking about it's just insane amounts of fun and it's really hard to put down. So someday I might go back and play that.
Good sign.
Number 2 on the list, we're getting close to done here. Watch Dogs. Once again, got a lot of publicity. Another game I'm really excited about, so I don't want to do too much digging because I don't want to ruin it, but the general concept is it takes place in an alternate reality version of Chicago. It's kind of a free roaming, so think kind of Grand Theft Auto-ish, but you're kind of like a hacker guy, so you use like tools and gadgets to hack into phone calls and listen and follow people, and like I believe you could change signs and traffic lights and things like that. So that looks really cool because hacking and security infiltration has always been something I've really been a fan of. That one was first announced at like E3 in 2013, so it's been floating around for a while. But apparently the whole point of the game is you play a guy named Pierce, and he helps a fellow hacker named T-Bone escape from jail, I believe, and they discover trying to steal a motherboard, and thus the game begins. Now it's supposed to come out between April and June of 2014, and then the last one on the list. Sorry for whoever I made yawn.
It's just been a long day.
No.
Watch Dogs. I feel like that's been hyped for such a long time at this point.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's also, when these games get hyped, it's like, yeah, there's this game coming out. And like when they announced it in 2013, it's like this game is going to be the kitty's titties. And then they're like, oh, it'll be out sometime in 2014, and it's like, mid 2013, and it's like, well, there's really no sense in getting super excited for it because you got to wait like a year. And that's kind of my thoughts on like probably with you guys in movies where it's like, oh, they announced all these actors for this movie.
No.
Are you kidding me? So like you're excited for what the hell? What's the movie we just talked about? The one that no one likes.
Galaxy? That one?
No.
Oh, Avatar.
Avatar. And it's like, oh, Avatar 2 is coming out in December of 2016, and it's like, how can you get excited for something that comes out 2 years from now?
Well, it depends on the movie. If it's like a Star Trek sequel, definitely. Star Wars sequel, yeah. But not just a regular... If it's got a cool concept, then yeah, I'd be really excited for it.
See, I've been really excited for the Sin City sequel, which they announced in like 2012, and it comes out sometime this year. So it's like, I get excited for it, then I forget it exists. And then I'll like revisit it at some point.
And then you get excited all over again.
Yeah, that's the best thing. That's actually the best thing, right? I mean, it's like I think like, oh my God, there's going to be new Star Wars movies, and then like I'll forget about that for a while, and then when I remember again, it's like, oh my God, there's going to be new Star Wars movies. You know, it's good, I think, to not be counting the days, because as Tom Petty said, waiting is indeed the hardest part.
Yeah. The wise man, that Tom Petty.
Wow. I'm sure he said a lot of things. Yeah, last game on the list. It's called Destiny. It is I believe it's a first-person shooter. Yeah, action role-playing first-person shooter in a mythic science fiction open-world setting. It's developed by Bungie, so I think a lot of people are really excited because Bungie did Halo. I don't know if they've really done anything since, but the premise is that it is set 700 years into the future in a post-apocalyptic setting following a prosperous period of exploration.
So there was a non-dystopian future for a while, but then it went to crap again, and we went back to
but yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the top 10 anticipated video games of 2014.
All right, good job.
And yet there is still no video game based on the Hunger Games. Still. The problem
that surprises me.
Yeah, because it lends itself to a video game, especially a multiplayer like arena deathmatch game. I cannot think of a fictional property that is, at least in the last 10 years, that has lended itself as well to a video game as the Hunger Games, and nothing.
Maybe they're working on it. Maybe they didn't realize how big it was going to be until it got big, and then they're like, oh, we better start working on a game.
I think it was maybe the idea of kids killing each other in a video game that kind of turned some people off.
Yes.
That's probably why it was seen as a hot-button issue.
There's apparently a Hunger Games online game.
Oh, is it the one that the fan made one, or is it the Facebook one? I mean, there's like a kind of a cheesy
I'm gonna
one.
guess it's probably the fan-made one because it took me to the hungergames.co.uk.
Yeah, there's a fan-made one. The fan is trying to do it, but I mean, I think that EA or Ubisoft, someone could have just printed money doing this game.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Hey, speaking of printing money, probably what's going to turn out to be one of the biggest movies of the year is Guardians of the Galaxy, and the trailer came out this week. We were excited last episode about it, and Brad, you're going to break it down for us, right?
Yes, I am. So, Guardians of the Galaxy. There's been a big hype right now, and they've just released a full trailer. And they've also released individual smaller pieces now that highlight the individual main characters of Guardians of the Galaxy. So we're going to talk about the individual characters and why you should care. The first character is Peter Quill, who is played by Chris Pratt of Parks and Rec. The character Peter Quill in recent comics, they've kind of revamped him a little bit. He was born on Earth, so he is a human, but he had an alien father. And his father is a part of the royal family of the race called the Spartaks. His father crash-landed on Earth and had an affair with Peter Quill's mother, who was later killed by alien assassins.
That's hot.
Really?
Holy crap, Dave.
Okay.
One more time. Just one more time. Okay, Brad, continue.
Okay. I'm afraid I'm going to say something. And then the puppy was killed. That's hot.
No.
Okay. The next character is Gamora, and she is portrayed by Zoe Saldana. She played Uhura in Star Trek, but she was in Avatar, The Losers, one of my favorite comic book movie, or not one of my favorite, but it's on the list. And her character, Gamora, is described as the most dangerous woman in the universe. She's a killer, an assassin for hire, and she's the last survivor of her race. Her people were all wiped out by the Badoon, which are a nasty group of aliens who also killed Star-Lord's mother. In the comics, she was adopted by the villain Thanos, who we saw at the end of the Avengers film, and he had her trained to be an assassin.
Wow, okay.
Next up is Drax the Destroyer, and he is portrayed by the wrestler Dave Bautista.
Okay, that's my new name. That's my new name for this show. I'm going to be the Destroyer. Dave the Destroyer.
Dave the Destroyer. Yes. It's good to be the king.
Yes.
And he is the muscles of the group. Basically, imagine the Incredible Hulk, only slightly smarter. Like I said, he's the brute force, and he is a berserker fighter. So once he gets angry and in a fight, he just doesn't stop. Next up is the character that a lot of people have been kind of scratching their heads about, like, how is this going to work? And that is Rocket Raccoon. And in the original comics, Rocket Raccoon was a cybernetic/genetic experiment on a lower life form. And he originally appeared back in the 70s in The Incredible Hulk, actually. And in one of the comics, Rocket lives on a planet full of talking animals, and he crewed a spaceship called the Rack and Ruin. Along with his first mate, get this, Walrus.
Walrus?
Yes.
I see what they did there.
And, oddly enough, he was a talking walrus. I'm sure you didn't guess that. And they protected an all-powerful Gideon Bible from space marauders. Okay, I'm not taking any questions on that one. We're moving on.
Oh, come on.
All right, Groot. Groot is basically an extraterrestrial plant monster who's almost impossible to kill. And the reason why he's impossible to kill is if there's any piece of him left, he can actually regrow from that piece that is left.
And let me interject, Brad. In the trailer, Groot is protecting Rocket Raccoon.
Yes, the two of them work together. Let's see. Oh, yeah. The joke right now on the internet is DC's. We don't think people are ready for a Wonder Woman movie, and Marvel's. We've got a movie with a raccoon with a machine gun riding on a talking tree. Anyways, they're part of a duo, and the only thing that he can say that humans understand is "I am Groot," but actually in his native, if you could actually understand his language, it's actually far more intricate, and he's actually saying more than that, but it's just other people don't know the language, so that's really all they can hear and understand out of it.
Was there ever like a universal translator in...
Yes, there was an issue where they did run it through a translator, and he was like extremely eloquent.
Did he have a British accent?
I don't think they went with the British accent, but he was far more elegant, and there was a lot more going on than what you hear. Now, director James Gunn of Slither and, he did the, what were the, I think it was done, he did it for Spike TV, and it was like PG porn is what it was called. He did a series of PG porn clips that were just absolutely hilarious. Actually, and he got like a number of stars, like Nathan Fillion did one, so it was like he actually got like a porn actor or actress and actually teamed them up with an actual person, and it was like porn without the porn. It just really kind of goofy, funny stuff. And obviously it wasn't graphic, otherwise it wouldn't have been able to be on Spike TV, so there you go. Anyways, moving away from porn, James Gunn, in an interview with Total Film, said all of the Guardians start out in the movie as bastards, except for Groot. He's an innocent. He's 100% pure, deadly, but he's 100% sweet. He's just caught up in Rocket Raccoon's life. Next up, we're going to work with the villains here, and the first up is Nebula. And Nebula is being portrayed by Doctor Who's former alum Karen Gillan, Amy Pond. And she's one of the few villains in the movie. We're going to see Nebula, the Collector, and Ronan